everyone. Welcome to our first episode of Social Currents. My name is Jay Otway. I'm an author, speaker, and social media consultant, and co-founder of HK Social here in Hong Kong. And with me today, I have got a couple of my HK Social cohorts. Introduce yourselves, folks.
Hi, I'm Jocelyn, and I head social media over at TVWA. And I'm also helped set up Social Media Week here in Hong Kong, and I'm also a founding member of HK Social.
And you, sir?
Hello, everybody. I'm Ali Bullock, Head of Communications at WWF.
Fantastic. Now, a little backstory behind this new thing we're doing today called Social Currents, which we'll be doing every Friday at 1 p.m. Hong Kong time. HK Social was born out of the first social media week we did here about 18 months ago, and the idea was that we wanted to carry the conversation on all year round, not just 1 week of the year. And so we set up HK Social, which has become a very successful breakfast meeting. It began as 12 people wanting to get together and have a conversation every month, and now we're more than 800 registered members strong. But we felt as we've grown as a network, as exciting as that has been, and all the amazing people we have now in our community, that having those conversations about social media is getting harder and harder. And this is typical of any network. As they get bigger, the noise increases and the signal diminishes. So we're going to break this down again from our monthly meetings to now these weekly hangouts, where we take some of our leadership team and discuss the important social media news items of the week. And this way you get to hear more of the conversation around social media, around what we think of it, the analysis, the insights that we consider to help provide better context and understanding of what's going on. So without further ado, on to our first story of the week. Facebook begins deleting thousands of fake user and illegitimate likes. All right, starting with Jocelyn. Is this a good thing, bad thing? What's going on?
Well, I mean, I think it's a good thing that Facebook is one of the first social platforms to really take a serious stance on this. I do quite a lot of work for brands on Weibo in China, and I know the fake fan phenomenon is a very serious thing and is always something that we have to build into our strategies. So I think it's interesting that Facebook is kind of taking, a blanket approach to handling this, but I'm not really sure about that element of like ratting your friends out if they're not using their real name. I'm not sure if that's cool.
Right. Well, there's certainly something to be said for the idea that some people need secret identities, right? That this was something when Google Plus first set up, and as much as I like Google Plus, they were really strict about authentic identities right from the get-go. And I actually spoke briefly with Bradley Horowitz of Google Plus when he was here for HD a year ago. And actually, a quote ended up in my book. We talk a little bit about what he called the three sort of identities, which was public, private, and secret. And they really want to focus on people being either public or private, and they weren't really crazy about secret. But here in China, obviously, secret matters, right? Secret sometimes means the difference between you being able to speak your mind or being, dragged off in the night.
Yeah, true. But I guess they have you registering now with your, your official ID numbers and mobile phones and stuff like that. So I guess that's kind of their back-end way at dealing with that and finding out who people are, even if they're not using their legitimate name. But I guess it's a bit different for something like Facebook, where it's about you as a person in your real-life personal network, recreating that online. But I guess for microblog platforms like Weibo and Twitter, there might be more space for a more anonymous secret identity. So maybe it's a different in the form the platform provides.
Now, Ali, you've worked in some major brands. The secret identity isn't always a secret identity. I mean, a secret, in this case, a fake identity could be while you're working for a company that you're speaking underneath their brand name and that your name's not really there. I mean, do you think those accounts should go away as well?
That's a good question, Jay. I mean, my dog has an identity on Facebook, of course, and he's got more friends than I do.
Oh, I'm so ratting out your dog.
Is
Oh
Padstow
man,
in trouble?
I wanted to place a bet almost on how long it would take Ali to bring up an animal in this conversation.
I mean, Facebook's going to gill Padstow. There's the title for this show. Don't kill my pug, please. I think you're right, Jay. I think having worked, for brands, we look at WWF as well. I mean, when people, if they have a fake ID, they can very easily swear, troll, take on fan pages, write nasty things. And we can have fake IDs online for good reasons and for bad. But I'm not really sure. How do you police it? I mean, there is no way that Facebook can take all of these fake IDs off. I'm just going to go create another fake ID. So I am, Batman Hong Kong 1. Facebook takes it down. I become Batman Hong Kong 2. So fake IDs.
They've got an automated system, right? I mean, it's looking for those sorts of things and automatically blocking them at the creation level now.
If it works, wonderful. I think if people are real, I think they'll be more honest in some ways. I think that's a good thing. There is, of course, the issue of cyberbullying. We've seen that a lot. So I think at least if people have real identities, perhaps it'll make them think twice. It's a lot easier to bully and be rude about people when you're not the person, who's doing it. Or, you're not seen.
That's absolutely true. Like, YouTube comments have been notoriously bad for a long time because you can leave them anonymously. And if you don't have your own reputation on the line when you're leaving a comment, it's very easy to just go in and say, this is gay, this is stupid, look at her tits. I mean, there's so many horrible comments like that on almost every YouTube post. And you can vote them down and do things like that, but they reemerge mostly because people are anonymous. If your own reputation's on the line, you tend to behave a lot better. So I'm a big fan. I know that some of the major blogs, places like TechCrunch and Gadget, start to roll out on their commenting site that you had to log in with your Facebook account. And obviously, if those are authentic identities, then the commenting underneath the posts becomes a lot more thoughtful, a lot more engaging as people behaving better and not just there, like you said, trolling and spamming each other. But I mean, what does this say to the corporate world, though, where obviously people have to operate underneath the anonymity of a brand? Should people get out from underneath that? Should they be themselves?
I kind of have a pretty strong point of view on this because I totally hear the argument that brands, that it's people that make social media and there needs to be like a human element, and that's why it works so well when brands have their own ambassadors representing them rather than hiding behind a brand name. But I know for a lot of companies it's might be a little bit more complex for them for a variety of reasons. But I think if for whatever reason they decide to use the brand name as their social identity, then they need to be open to making their communications very human. And I think that, that example of, I'm not sure if you guys saw that case study, Our Food, Your Questions by McDonald's in Canada, which I think is really brilliant and kind of took a very human, open, transparent approach to a social media campaign and how they frame the conversation with their audience by taking very blatant questions like, does your food include pink slime? Is your beef actually 100% beef? And like very frankly answering them in a human way. So I think that could be a good way to bridge the gap in between the two.
I like that campaign as well, but also because they involved like local ranchers, people who were in the agricultural business, in the food production business, and got them into the conversation. And I mean, obviously, McDonald's fights against an enormous amount of myth about their products. But that's only because the brand is so big and so recognizable. But this is true for all companies, that nobody's going to believe you as much as they're going to believe your vendors and your customers and all of the other people that are sort of involved in it. So yeah, a wise move to sort of take that conversation and sort of spread it out to real people. If it was just Ronald McDonald standing there saying to me, yes, we're all 100% pure, I would buy whatever Ronald's selling. He's a clown, for God's sake.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, it's I think trust is what we're really getting at here. We really want to be able to trust brands. To trust brands, we need to know a person that we can, establish a relationship with. They need a reputation. They need to be somebody who we can put on the hook if things go wrong. Somebody who's willing to take responsibility. And I think that's why we need authentic identity.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, let's see if I can find story number 2 here.
By the way, guys, I've got some beautiful artwork to share with you. If anyone's watching from the office, you can follow the conversation, of course, or interact with us, ask questions, share thoughts on using the hashtag social currents or HK Social. We'll be taking a look at both.
Fantastic. So what I want to share now is this one here. You guys see that?
Yeah.
LinkedIn. Yep, we can see it.
Actually, let me make sure that goes.
We've got black screen.
Yeah, I know. My apologies to those of you watching out there in internet land.
If we get boring, I'm going to start doing puppets.
There will be.
I'm Facebook. I'm Twitter. Allie, don't laugh. You'll totally do it too.
Finger puppet time. Okay.
So yes, LinkedIn has introduced the ability to follow thought leaders. And they've got a button that just says follow, which reminds me of some other social networking site that I can't quite put my finger on. So what do you think? What do you think of this idea of following thought leaders? Is this a good move for LinkedIn? Allie?
I've got a question. I mean, who are these thought leaders? Why are you and I and Justin not on there?
Well, we can be, actually. They have an application button we can put in and apply to be LinkedIn thought leaders. And you know what? Just for a laugh, I almost think we should.
Yeah.
I looked through the list. I know a lot of people that are sort of further down it, the more mere mortal types. Let me see if I can find the.
Because when I think it's an interesting idea to have on LinkedIn people you can follow. Because at the moment, of course, I accept everybody onto my LinkedIn network, and the value of LinkedIn today is reduced because of that. So having something where you can follow thought leaders, not Orrin Huffington, I hate that one, but other than her, I think it's quite a good idea.
Jocelyn, what do you think? Yeah, I think it's an interesting idea too, and I guess the kind of people it looks like it's profiling so far, I mean, it has a bit of a professional slant to it as well, which I feel works within the LinkedIn environment. And I guess people have been starting to use LinkedIn more as a kind of, thought leadership sharing discussion platform. So maybe it'll work. I think it's a little bit different, but I think the conversations, it's still going to maintain that kind of professional nature. I can't really see it evolving past that, but maybe I'm wrong.
I think it'll all come down to the content, ultimately. How good are the bloggers, like any blog that LinkedIn wants to feature. If the content isn't very good, then you're not going to get a number of followers.
Well, I mean, that's it. They've launched with these 150 people, and it had a bunch of the very top ones do stories and write-ups to sort of put up. But it reminds me of that old adage that everybody's got one really great blog post in them, and then after that, creating content becomes a real chore. And so it's great that LinkedIn's reached out to people like Branson and got him to write something up. And he's fairly prolific sort of sharer of things, anyways. But how long is he going to sort of sustain this? And obviously the ability to add more and more people for us to follow and things is good. But yeah, in the beginning, just to have 150 people only that we can follow is too little, too few. What we need is, again, to expand this out to a lot more thought leaders. Let us decide who we think are thought leaders, who we want to follow, whose opinions matter to us, not whose opinion matters to LinkedIn. And I think the best bit here, though, is you're right, this transformation. And I know it's going to take a long time to move the culture of LinkedIn from job hunting to professional conversation. But that's exactly the move we need to make. I've been preaching for quite some time to people to try and turn their Facebook profile into a professional conversation site, but Facebook's culture almost resists it more maybe than LinkedIn, because Facebook was born out of a college, and that college behavior mentality is so persistent in Facebook that it's hard to get any real meaningful conversations going there. Where LinkedIn, because it's been so buttoned down right from the beginning, it might be a much better place for us to sort of generate those things. So I think LinkedIn is probably onto something.
It's very fair. I mean, I would only say, though, my only disagreement is Facebook is, for me, more for friends and family. It's not for a professional network. You know, LinkedIn is for my professional network. Allowing people to be followed, I agree with you, 150 isn't enough. I should be allowed, you know, to select who that I want to follow. Because my thought leaders could well be, you know, yourself as an example, not Richard Branson. I don't like Ariana Huffington, you know. So I agree with you, 150 is not enough. But is 1,000 too many? I mean, if you start letting everybody be an influencer, what's the point of having it on LinkedIn today? Isn't that just my RSS reader? Is that why they've curated it?
How do we update our LinkedIn? Like, I used to have it synced to Twitter, and then I just sort of forgot about it. But now, see, Twitter's turned off its API. The if this then that workaround that we were using for a while, it's also shut down now. So I want to put content up on LinkedIn. I want to take professional conversations there. What do I use to do it? Don't tell me I have to go to the LinkedIn site, because I need an automated system. What do you guys recommend? Any ideas?
I'll take this one. I would recommend Buffer app, bufferapp.com. You can select.
Does Buffer have LinkedIn?
Yes, it does. Yep, it's brilliant.
Fantastic.
You can put it in the browser bar, and so you're then able to just surf around the internet and put different stories into different places. So hence that's how
I think we got a pro Buffer account. I give them money. I like the boys over there very much. They used to be based here in Hong Kong for a short while. They've now relocated to Israel. They're making the trip around the world. They started like Silicon Valley and have been heading west until they circumnavigate and get visas for the U.S. and actually get back to working there, I think, which is where they want to be. But no, so Buffer's a good one. So I can sync my Buffer up. I just drop everything into it and have it go out with my professional conversations there. But I think a lot of the conversation, though, it's going to be like G+, right? So it's going to start to follow underneath the things that you post on LinkedIn. Now with G+, I get like notifications on my phone when anybody's sort of engaging in that conversation with me on a G+ post. But for LinkedIn, I mean, I've got the LinkedIn app. Is it going to notify me and tell me if I have conversations ongoing on LinkedIn, or do I have to keep going back and checking on LinkedIn? I think those are the sort of things that from a user's perspective really matter. Like the problem with LinkedIn's groups have always been they're what I call the empty classroom syndrome, where you go in, you write something on the whiteboard, there's nobody there to read it, you leave, and while you're gone, somebody else comes in, sees what's on the whiteboard, writes something else onto it, and then they leave, and then you've got to come back and see what's there. Where with Twitter and Facebook, because people are so on all the time, that as you write something, almost instantly there's somebody there responding. So you have this sense that it's more of a full classroom, that there's this dialogue, conversation in real time going on. And I think LinkedIn's big challenge is to replicate that sort of experience.
Yeah.
I think that's fair. And what else are you going to do as LinkedIn, as you said, Mr. Oatway? Where else does LinkedIn go? We've all updated our CVs. We've all got our professional profile on there. They need to do more, right? And I think they've got to take it from just looking for CVs to I'm going to come on here and try and read some more information. But I have got Facebook, I have got Twitter, I have got Google+. So this move for LinkedIn is not a bad move.
Yeah, I agree. I think also, I don't know about you guys, but the most activity that I see on LinkedIn is, the odd sales pitch every now and then for, some service or tool, and then a lot of recruitment type contacts. And I think a lot, like looking at other kind of business models, I feel like there are a lot of business models that haven't quite tapped into LinkedIn as a great sales tool or profiling, thinking broadly like insurance companies or those types of sales that I think could really benefit from LinkedIn. So yeah, I kind of agree with you, Allie. I'm not sure if like they need to evolve to serve this a similar purpose to social platforms that we're already using and like as it is, but maybe trying to evolve out more around the business model that they already have. I don't know what the answer is.
Well, I mean, the idea of having interesting conversations on LinkedIn is an exciting idea because so far I don't think I've ever had an interesting conversation on LinkedIn. So I am looking forward to that. I expect I'll be having the interesting conversations on LinkedIn right now with the same people that have interesting conversations elsewhere. The trick is trying to, I mean, if I'm going to have those conversations with, Allie and Jocelyn, I've got to somehow convince you guys to go onto LinkedIn and have those conversations there. Or I need to find a new group of friends on LinkedIn to have conversations with there about something. So for me, a lot of it has always been about going where the community already is hanging out and what they're already talking about. And for me, lately, everybody's been moving to G+, and more of my social media time has been on Google+, having conversations there, plus wanting things, resharing things there. It just seems for me like that's where the most interesting people, the most interesting conversations are. So it's going to be a bit forced to try and, move that for me to LinkedIn, no matter how good the LinkedIn platform gets. But not everybody obviously has figured out how to find an interesting community yet. So if maybe this is the best way to do it, you see with 150 interesting people and you start to indoctrinate people into this idea. So I think LinkedIn is more acceptable in the office, right?
Yeah,
do you agree that in the workplace you're more likely to be on LinkedIn than on Facebook or Google+?
Unless your boss thinks that you're looking for another job.
But okay, then which of the major services between Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Google+, which one do you think is the most safe for work?
Well, that's a good question. Probably LinkedIn, as you say, is very very focused, shall we say, on looking for new jobs. So I do agree that's more of a problem.
Well, that might undermine their idea of trying to get more people to be using it for professional conversations. If there's this idea that if you get caught on LinkedIn, it's because you're trying to find a new employer.
I guess they've got to try and. Sorry, I was just going to say. I guess they've got to change the mindset of what LinkedIn is, and this maybe is an effort to do that.
Jocelyn, what do you think? Are they going to be able to do that? Are they going to change the mindset? Can a site change its mindset?
I mean, I think they can. I don't think they can change their core offering, but they can certainly evolve. And I think within social internet space, they have to in order to survive. But I almost wonder if it might be trying to do too much too soon, rather than like gradually change perceptions over time. I'm not really sure, but I agree about LinkedIn, I guess, being accessible or acceptable in the workplace, but yeah, every time I see someone looking at it, I always think that they're looking for another job.
So would Google Plus be more acceptable then as a place to, if you walk by somebody and they were on G Plus, does it have any of the negative connotations that Facebook or LinkedIn has?
For some reason, I feel, and I work in social media, so I guess it's not as taboo to see someone on the team, looking at a social media platform. But my impression of Google Plus is that it's a little bit more, it's kind of somewhere in between the connotations of LinkedIn and Facebook, in the sense that it's social, but also tends to be a little bit more intelligent, sophisticated type sharing. I don't know if you guys feel that same way. So I think, yeah, I don't think it would pull up as negative a connotation as Facebook or LinkedIn within the workplace.
I agree with that.
I do as well, which is why we're using Google Hangouts now to have these professional, intelligent conversations and share them with the world. All right, but we promised to, for at least for the first episodes, keep these relatively short, and we'll be playing with the format, of course, over the next few weeks, trying to invite more people into the conversations, maybe add more news items, maybe use fewer news items. We'll see sort of how things go. It'll be a bit of an experiment. Thank you all for tuning in to our very first episode of Social Currents. There will be RSS feeds for this for podcasts. They'll be on iTunes, all via SoundCloud, which will get the audio up on that hopefully later today. The YouTube video for this will be out as well. We'll do a little bit of an edit and put the title on that, and then we'll get a way of sharing that. And you'll always be able to click on the Hangout links here on the Social Currents page and tell your friends about it, socialcurrents.tv, tweet about it. We're going to open it up as well. Oh, look, there's something in the chat thing here. Oh, it's Ali. And we're all going to get used to using Google Hangouts. It is still kind of new for most of us. I think it's a very exciting tool, and I hope we're going to get like really good at cutting back and forth the scenes, showing off screens, showing off YouTubes, hopefully not dropping any really goofy Google effects on anybody, but we've got all these.
Oh man, I forgot this time.
So we're gonna try out the tools. We're gonna try and figure out some stuff, but we are definitely open to audience suggestions, recommendations, ideas, and do let us know. This is a conversation, and we want you to be part of it. Once again, say goodbye, folks, and tell us again who you were. Ali?
Ali Bullock on Twitter at Ali Bullock.
Jocelyn Lipford at JLIP, JLIIP.
And I'm at J Otway, and we will see you guys all again next week, Friday, 1 p.m. Hong Kong time. I think that's, what day is that, the 12th? Am I right? Everybody have a great week and stay social. Say goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.